Good morning. Yes. अच्छा का एकदम good morning. मैं मसना था. Okay. So yesterday we were going to talk about tradingeconomics.com. That is where I guess we had just written the title, and I wanted to show this website to you. Uh, tradingeconomics.com, and I've just gone to India Indicators. It's a very nice website. I found it amazing. All the important macroeconomic factors. So please understand this. In economics also we have two terms. One is macroeconomics, one is microeconomics. Microeconomics would not directly impact the stock market to a very great level, but macroeconomics has a direct impact. Matlab, some government policy changes and immediately it will have an impact on the market. If you get a chance, definitely try to see the budget and the market on budget day. Don't watch budget on DD or Doordarshan or any other national channel, but I will suggest that next budget, whenever you get to watch, February mein jo aayega. If you know this, every February the budget comes up. Always watch budget on CNBC, on some market channel. Why? For a simple reason. It actually does happen that the screen, they virtually divide into two parts. CNBC people only. One part they show what live budget updates are coming up, okay, and on the other side they show the market. So we see a news coming up and we immediately see the impact on the market. Immediately, right away we see the impact on the markets. So it's fun to watch how macroeconomic decisions, the government decisions, they impact the markets. Okay, so today what we are going to focus on, again let me just quickly remind you that three major levels, I may say, of fundamental economics. Company analysis we are done. Yesterday and day before yesterday we talked about industry analysis, and today focus is on economy analysis. But like I said yesterday, for industry analysis or economy analysis, or the last part which we are going to do today is management analysis, we don't need any commerce background as such. Economy analysis, yes, some terms you need a commerce background, which I'm going to teach. But otherwise, management analysis is the pure common sense. As far as economics analysis is also concerned, if you understand the meanings of these terms, few terms especially, then it's just common sense, nothing else. And you will be able to understand whether this is good or bad. Okay. So the first and foremost parameter which you must know about India economic indicators is the GDP. The first and foremost indicator. So what I'll show you, this is the website, and here you can see, I'm just scrolling down, overview, and they have loads of parameters. GDP growth, GDP annual growth, unemployment rate, inflation rate, interest rate, CRR, BOT, balance of trade. Again, over analysis paralysis case. So we are not going to discuss each and every parameter. Not all parameters will directly have a major impact on the stock market. Okay, all these are important parameters, but we are going to select only few. Like in stock market company analysis also we selected 8. Similarly, from macroeconomics also we are going to select few parameters, barely 4 or 5. Are these parameters going to impact the stock market in a big way? So the day it is announced, that same day it will have a big impact for sure. So we'll start off with the very first one. The very first one, if you can write down, the first macroeconomic factor which we must check is the GDP. GDP. And the full form of GDP is, anyone knows? Gross domestic product. And I'll just give you a one liner on how it is calculated. See, there are many techniques, various methods to calculate GDP, but I'll just tell you a simple one liner meaning for what is GDP. It is the aggregate value. You can write this down. It's the one liner meaning for what is GDP. It is the aggregate value of the final goods produced, of the final goods produced or services in the country. Final goods, or because I can't say services produced, no, goods produced or services in the country. In the country. Okay. So there are two major points in this definition. What one word I used is the aggregate value hai ye. Of what? Final. That's an important word. Final goods or services. And which are produced in our country. Okay, so instead of 2, I can say 3 important parameters for this. So what do we mean by aggregate value? This meaning is very simple. So in Pune, how many goods and services are how many goods are produced? How many services are rendered? Pune plus Nashik plus Satara plus Sangli plus Mumbai plus all the cities put together. Cities will get aggregated into states. States aggregated into a country. Okay, so all will have to aggregate together. So number one important term in this is it's an aggregate of all the goods and services. Second one, it has to be of a final goods produced or service rendered. Final goods is very important. Why? Let us understand. Assume that I'm making this shirt. Then from cotton, I'll make a yarn first, na? Cotton se yarn banta na pehle. Or maybe from cotton I'll make a thread first. Simple. Okay, thread is not my final product. Thread is an intermediate product for me. Correct, na? From thread or from that yarn, I'm going to make this shirt. So in the GDP, if you add thread also and shirt also, will it be a double effect? Yes. That is why any intermediate good which is used, that is not counted in the GDP. Only final goods are counted in the GDP. Okay, I'll give you one more example. Let us say I'm making a mobile phone. And in the mobile phone, I need whatever, some buttons and the screen and some processor, all that. So whenever that screen is manufactured, that will not be counted as a final product. Screen is used for what? Acha, mobile, then mobile will be counted as the final product. In sabka aggregate, when we take, is final goods and services. Is this clear? Final goods and services. And very important, produced in our country. Just as an example, whenever we import anything into our country, will that be counted in the GDP? No, any import will not be counted in our GDP. It has to be mandatorily produced in our country. Then only it will be counted in the GDP. Okay, then how to calculate GDP? I don't think it is of any sense for us to understand how stock market reacts to that. We are least bothered about how economists calculate GDP. We must know that what is the meaning of GDP though. Now you only tell me, if the GDP increases to a good level, what does it mean now? Now I have told you the meaning of it. More production. And if we have more production, then overall a good sign or a bad sign? Obviously a good sign. More indigenous goods produced within our country, more goods are produced. Can I say possibilities that imports also might go down? Correct? So more and more of production, more and more of sales ideally would lead to more and more of profits ideally, and overall growth will be there. Okay, so whenever we have a good GDP number, obviously it will have a positive impact on the market. Okay, so have you understood the meaning of GDP? Yes. Now we have to understand that what is the GDP growth rate, or this one, what is the GDP annual growth rate? So if you see here, last GDP annual growth rate was 5.8. So 5.8 ka last GDP annual growth rate hai. And if you see, reference is March 19, very latest data comparatively, matlab bahut purana nahi, hardly 4-5 months old, 3-4 months old, sorry. Okay, so now if I just click on this, and if you see here, frequency is quarterly, so GDP numbers would get updated on a quarterly basis. Okay, so now if I check GDP annual growth, I'm just clicking on that. Now if you see here, we'll just read out this first small para, which says that the Indian economy advanced 5.8% year on year in the first quarter of 2019. If you know these terms, year on year means previous year as compared to current year as compared to the previous year. Okay, or on a year basis, it has advanced 5.8%, slowing from a 6.6% expansion in the previous period and missing market expectations of 6.3%. It was the weakest growth rate. This is very alarming. It was the weakest growth rate since the first quarter of 2014. Okay, so you're expecting a recession coming up? Really? Amid weaker consumer demand and fixed investment. So amid is, maybe it is because of some weaker consumer demand. GDP annual growth rate in India is averaged at 6.21 percentage from 1951 until 2019, reaching at an all-time high of 11.40 percentage in the first quarter of 2010, and a record low of 5.20 minus 5.20% in the fourth quarter of 1979. Blah blah blah. Okay, we are going to come on to this. Whether is this a sign of recession or not? I disagree a little bit. So why I feel that uh, the GDP could be low in the first quarter, I'll tell you why. That is my interpretation. That is my analysis. Maybe you will agree with this. So if you see here, this is the data, 9.2 and whatever 6.6 increase, and here we have only a 5.8. What generally happens, we don't have iske pehle ka data, we don't have. See, GDP increase hone ke liye you also need a lot of government spending. There are many government companies in India who are making so many projects. So can I say even infrastructure projects going on a full swing, is that going to increase the GDP? Ideally yes. Ideally yes. See, of course, again we are talking about, there are so many parameters. Some will include that there is an income approach to calculate GDP, there is an expenditure approach to calculate GDP. We are not going into that, but can I say more and more of government spending means that someone is manufacturing something. Now why just government is spending money or what? They're spending to buy something. It means that someone is manufacturing something. Now my interpretation is that typically election का जो period होता है, that is when government spending generally comes down on normal spending pattern. See, they need focus on funds for what? Election purpose, campaigning. So they would not spend more on other products. They'll take out the allocations only for campaigning purpose. Okay, if you see this quarter, so this was the quarter which is the lowest that they saw. They are talking about the first quarter of 2019. So that is which first quarter of 2019? April to June. And this is exactly the election period. Correct. So I'll tell you, I mean, we could very evidently see this. Even many of our friends who are many of my friends who are analysts, they also said that typically we try to see what is the progress of the projects, how much are they spending money on specific products, specific services, whatever, infra, all that. Government spending drastically drops in this one. Even government disbursement stop in this one. If government disbursement only stops, payment for goods and products, then even the company manufacturing also slows down. No? So this is a very typical sign of election year. Okay, this very similar pattern we had seen way back in 2014, 5 years ago. Very similar pattern. So if this continues for another 2-3 quarters, then I may agree with your point that maybe it could be a start of recession or what, and then why it did happen and all that, then we'll have to check it. But I feel this could be a temporary phase, election phase. And if this be so, everyone is not going to think in this pattern the way I'm trying to analyze it. What everyone will see, array, it is going down, something is terribly going wrong. Nothing is going wrong according to me right now. Yesterday, in fact, we discussed 5 sectors on which the focus is high. Yesterday, in fact, we discussed that this current government need not do anything flashy. They don't need any other party's support to prove or disapprove a specific point. They can do whatever they want right now. It's a very stable government right now. And whatever are the political views, I'm not on politics right now, but I feel everyone agrees that at least Modi ji is trying something. What is the outcome could be a point of argument, but at least something is being tried upon. If you see the rankings of India, people say he has managed this, he has managed that, everything is managed. That is what opponents feel. But at least I feel that some parameters which are decided on a global basis, wherein ease of doing business in India, if you know this ease of doing business, we were not even in top 100. And this position has significantly, we have significantly moved up in ease of doing business. Ease of doing business in simple words is nothing but if a foreign company wants to come to India and want to set up their own business. Earlier there were so many licensing, this, that, take a permission here, and people used to say forget it. But now the ease of doing business has significantly increased. And then many opponents will say this number is also managed. So if you start looking at all these things that this is managed, then no need to do any analysis. We are believing that these numbers are true, and then only we are making the analysis. Okay, so I personally feel that this is a temporary phase, election phase. We should watch what happens in the next quarter and the next quarter. So Q2, quarter 2 and quarter 3 of 2019, to my expectation, is very crucial as to how the numbers bounce back. Even if you have seen other companies which are giving their Q1 results, they are not so good. And I again feel that it is because partially, not fully, but partially definitely because of election. See, everyone, I'll tell you, everyone is of the view na ki, what policies will be taken by the government? Will it be for me? Will it be against me? These are the macroeconomic factors which are impacting. So don't be disheartened by this, that this is the lowest amongst last 5 years and market expectation was 6.3 and we are at only at a 5.8. It's okay. I feel don't get in a panic situation. Maybe it is because of this that the market has corrected. This is an adding factor, na? This is definitely one adding factor as to why market is going down right now. So I feel this is not a big worry if Q2 and Q3 stabilize or even go up. Okay, so for this we can also compare what other countries are up to right now. Are they performing good or not? So for this, there's a fantastic feature again. So I'm just scrolling down. Okay, if you remember this, in Moneycontrol we had peers when we compared one company with another company. Can I compare India versus China GDP? Here it is possible. So what I do is compare. Okay, so now when I say compare, it asks me pick a country, and let us say I'm saying China, which is obviously, any idea, doing better than us or not? 100% it is doing better than us. But कितना better करती है वो भी देखेंगे. So China, and pick indicator. What were we checking? GDP annual growth rate we are checking, na? Yes, GDP annual growth rate. So annually how much GDP has increased? See this. They'll directly give you a chart. And if you see here, India is in blue and China with a dotted black. They are all, see, our graph is pretty much, in fact, we have tried to do better here. But see, this fall is 2016 to 18 ke beech ka. All that demonetization, GST, this is this fall. Okay, and then economy is trying to be a little bit steady, but again 2019 first quarter ye hai, this one. Okay, so now things to watch is what happens next. But if you see here, see, China and we are almost going parallel right now. So it's not like only, and I'm comparing this with the strongest economy of the world right now. I'm not comparing it with any sundry country. So if I am comparing our country with the strongest economy, then I feel we are not doing that bad. Overall, globally only, things are a little bit maybe in a downturn, with so many things happening around the world right now, especially America taking so many stands. Iran, many problems. If you know this, the new president has been appointed. Na, abhi kal mein kiska dekh rahe? Mr. Boris, UK. So now again, see, all these things come up into now what stand he will take. What stand he will take on Brexit? You know about Brexit? Have you heard about Brexit? Yes. So Brexit ka full form, matlab, you know how that word has come up, na? Britain and exit. That's a Brexit. Okay. So what stand they will take on that? So many points and so many parameters. So this is how we can compare, and just by looking at this, we'll get that feeling, okay, not that bad. Huh? USA right now is not doing bad at all. USA might be doing good. It might be higher than us. Way too higher than us. See. The annual growth rate though, but नहीं, but अरे अपना अभी 5 point something था ना? What happened? 1 minute. Hmm. One minute. Okay, if you remember here, I said compare, and first we compared. I'll just go back to China again. हाँ ओके एकच मिनिट हा मला एकदा कम्पेअर करू दे ओके GDP annual growth rate, and then I'm saying compare. Pick a country. I was at China. Pick an indicator was GDP annual growth rate. I'm not sure what this website is doing because the 5 point something. This is what matlab, this is a scale of 6 to 7 if you see here. But the moment I'm comparing it with USA, they're changing the scale a little bit. If you now check it out for USA instead of China, I'm just taking USA now. See, they're changing the scale. Maybe they are sizing it down in some ratio. The scale change हो रहा है वो. But in fact, I'm saying that it's a good sign that USA is doing better than us. It's a good sign. I'll tell you, the moment any giant economy crashes, then it's going to impact the entire world. Exactly. So that is what had happened in 2008, na? When Lehman Brothers, there was a big crash. By the way, I have explained the entire Lehman Brothers crisis in my basics of stock market. So when Lehman Brothers crashed, at that time, it directly impacted not only India, entire world. So it's so very logical. You must understand why this happens. See, a big giant is there, USA, and there are small countries. Okay, and for us, major, let us say we are exporting major products to this giant. This giant collapses, our exports collapse. Not only our country's exports collapse. There are so many countries whose exports are going to collapse. Correct? Second big giant, let us say China. They are exporting so much to USA. They collapse. And it's then a multiplier effect. That is why a big economy ideally always should be doing good. And China right now is actually among the top. If you know this, among the growth rates, I'd seen this statistic somewhere. I don't know on the same website or not. I'll just check this. Just give me a moment. Annual growth rate. There was some analysis which countries are among the top few countries in GDP growth rate. China was number 1 and India is number 2 right now in GDP growth rate, annual growth rate. Let me just check if this data is, yes, see here only. See, India, China, Indonesia is surprising, Spain, and then we have United States. आंखें भर के देखो, अच्छा लगना चाहिए. You're doing way too better as compared. See, obviously there are again reasons for that. You should be knowing a little bit of economics. US is obviously already a developed country, and we are still a developing country. So it's something like this, that if I'm taking the height from a floor till ceiling, we are somewhere midway. So we have a big rise, big potential rise. We still have space to go up. US is almost there. और कितना grow करेगा? There will be some restrictions on that. Okay, so it's good that we are growing at a nice pace. Of course, we are still behind China, but it's not that bad according to me. So even if you just go on the basic, this first summary, don't get disheartened according to me. It should improve ideally. So I hope this GDP parameter is clear to you. And can I say this site is again providing fantastic analysis. We get so much of ready-made data. It's just that we should know that such things exist. I personally believe that even if you sit down in a very focused manner, 1 hour should be good enough for analyzing a company. And with all economy analysis, industry analysis. See, just tell me, can I say economy analysis is only once in a quarter that you have to do? Industry analysis barely once in a quarter that you have to do. Once you have done a quarterly analysis, it's only company analysis that you have to check further. Company analysis, maybe you will have to do a little bit time and again, but that too, I'm telling you, that too you can do on a quarterly basis. Because company declares its results, if you know this, on every quarter basis. So it's not like daily you have to see, aaj kya GDP hai? Or it doesn't change every day here. It's not like stock markets. So they are going to update the data only once in a quarter. So those who give me excuses that we don't have that much time, that's a nonsense excuse. Once in a 3 months you can't sit down or what? You can definitely. Okay, yes. So GDP is clear. Can we go on to the next parameter? Yes. Write down the next parameter is CRR and SLR. CRR and SLR. Dash. CRR, that is cash reserve ratio. And SLR, that is statutory liquidity ratio. Statutory liquidity ratio. Deal with money that has to be kept aside. Deal with money that has to be kept aside by the banks as required by RBI. Okay, now again we have more technical details in this also. If you were just to understand in 1 minute, statutory liquidity ratio means what? The word itself says statutory means compulsory. Liquidity, you have to have it in liquid. Liquid means what? Let me see. Cash and very good. See, now you know the terms. Cash and cash equivalents. We have to have it with us. Means what? Can I lend this money to anyone else? Understand? I can't lend this money. Do I have the money to lend? I have the money, but there's a restriction on lending. So now let us understand. A government spokesperson says that, so basically there is something known as a monetary policy and a fiscal policy which is announced. In this they say that we are increasing the SLR, statutory liquidity ratio, by 0.5%. Good sign or a bad sign? For a bank. Very good. Understand this. See, if government says that we are increasing the SLR, one more time, what is SLR? Statutory liquidity ratio. They have to maintain cash and cash equivalents with them, compulsory. Okay, more cash and cash equivalents that they have to maintain, what will happen? Their capacity to lend will decrease. If their capacity to lend decreases, their loans given will decrease. If loans given decrease, their interest income, interest on loan which bank will receive, that will also decrease. In a flow? Very much in a flow? If that be so, the moment SLR increases, is it good or bad sign for the bank? It's a bad sign for the banking sector. Okay, so this is how economy analysis impacts my industry analysis and then company analysis. So the moment any notification comes up that SLR increased, be sure that your banking stocks are going to go down. Or if you are already in profit, this is the time to book profit. Exit. Because in the near term, somewhere their profitability is going to shrink. Okay, that is the impact of SLR. Same impact will be there for CRR. If CRR goes up, now I'll tell you what is CRR, cash reserve ratio. There's a thin line of difference between SLR and CLR. My God, SLR and CRR. See, SLR is nothing but money You want to write this down, the exact small, this is just a one liner difference, but if you want to write down, for SLR you can write down money which banks have to keep aside, money comma which banks have to keep aside with themselves is SLR. Whereas money comma which has to be deposited with RBI, money comma which has to be deposited with RBI is what? Cash reserve ratio. Meaning is clear? See, the word itself say na, we are keeping cash with you as a reserve. रखो अपने पास. Now CRR also increases. What will be the impact? Same impact. If CRR increases, then my cash and cash equivalents, so here cash and cash equivalents will not go up, but here my balance with, oh, so that is also cash and cash equivalent only. So my balance with any bank, which bank? RBI now, will increase. And the moment my balance with RBI increases, what will happen? You have less capacity to lend. If you have less capacity to lend, less loans will be given. If less loans are given, interest income will decrease. Is this okay? Have you understood the impact? You want to write this chain? This one? And is this common for both CRR, SLR? Common for both. Huh? So impact of CRR and SLR on, you can give this as a subheading maybe, impact of increase in CRR and SLR on banking stocks. Impact of increase in CRR and SLR on banking stocks. And you can directly write down only these three as a chain. Capacity to lend decreases, loans given will decrease, interest income will decrease. And what will be the conclusion? Therefore, banking stocks will rise or fall. So conclusion will be, therefore, banking stocks will go down. हाँ, reserves and surplus नहीं, cash and cash equivalent बोलते हैं इसको. SLR you are talking about ना? CLR ऐसे कुछ नहीं होता है. CRR basically is directly money that you have to keep with RBI. So it's in simplistic words, you can imagine just something like this, that you are keeping your saving. It's not, it does not happen, but you are having your saving account with RBI, something like that. हाँ, SLR में क्या होता है? SLR means you keep your money either as a hard cash with you. Possibility number one. Possibility number two, see if I'm a bank, by the way, I'm keeping money as a hard cash with me. Possibility number one. Possibility number two, I keep money in government bonds. Government bonds is also allowed, because government bonds are highly liquid assets. You sell it, you will immediately get money. So you are, so what different securities could be there as a component of your SLR requirements? There is also a different circular by RBI on that. Where all you can invest as a SLR, which are the most liquid investment opportunities, that RBI will decide. But I've given you two examples. One can be a hard cash, and these are actual examples as per the circular, and second can be your government bonds. Okay, concept is clear? So we can't open an account with RBI only. So RBI is basically, you know what is the role of RBI? Just as a one liner again, RBI is a regulator, agreed, but RBI is like a banker's bank. RBI is known as a banker's bank and the government's bank. Both. It's a banker's bank and a government's bank. RBI. They are also a regulator. Big roles played by RBI. It's like the central bank of our country. Okay. So it's a very important institution in our country. Banks ka, does cash and cash equivalent of any bank go on increasing every year? Ideally it should have, but we have so amazing people like Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, who contribute, who ensure that the bank's position does not improve every year. उनको ऐसे बुरा लगने लगता है, अरे they are prospering यार, not done. So the moment your NPAs increase, your cash and cash equivalents are going to go down. Your position is going to go down. So it's not necessary that every year cash and cash equivalents will increase only. The moment you have a bad debt, you have an NPA, gone. Yesterday or day before yesterday only, if you remember, I had given you an example for banking sector, maybe good stocks to come up. Was one of them was IDFC First. You know this IDFC First? I guess I had given as an example also, na? IDFC First in the banking. Did I give an example? I have given only HDFC Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank. I was actually trying to analyze this. Maybe I did not disclose this. No, it's not about disclosing. I didn't tell it in the class. IDFC First. I was trying to analyze this company, but it has given pathetic quarterly results. Very bad quarterly results. So I was actually thinking of whether to buy or not, but I said, wait. Quarterly results are very bad for this bank. For nationalized bank, we use this term collusion. Collusion means the bank employees only participate in the fraud. So this would mainly happen in nationalized bank. In private sector bank, again you have so many rules, regulations, and probability will decrease. I'm not saying it's zeroed down. Wherever we have an individual, a person, किसी का भी दिमाग घूम सकता है. Okay, but again I'm saying that the probability of a fraud in a nationalized bank is what we see in the current scenario is a little bit higher. Okay. Chalo, anyways, going back to our discussion right now, we talked about three major terms till now, clubbed up as two. One was GDP, second one is CRR and SLR. The third term you can write down is a which you can't see. I don't think whether they show this or not, but you can easily get what is the repo and reverse repo rate, but you should understand the impact of this on the markets. Okay, repo rate. Repo rate. Okay. So in simple words, again I'm telling you, not the exact definitions. It is the rate at which, you can write down, it is the rate at which RBI lends money to banks. RBI lends money to banks. Okay, so please understand this. Can bank also fall short of funds? Obviously, bank can also fall short of funds. There's a big demand for loans and they need money. From whom they can take? They can also take money from RBI. Is RBI going to give it without any cost attached to that? No, they're going to charge something. So this rate of interest, okay, repurchase of securities and all that, I'm not going into economics. Let me tell you one more time. It's just the simplified version. So let us say if the repo rate is, just as an example, 5% right now. Okay, what does this repo rate of 5% mean? The rate at which RBI is giving loan to a bank. Now let us say a decision comes up that repo rate increased to 6%. And I'll tell you a typical way of these guys telling on CNBC and all these channels, and even the spokesperson, they'll say repo rate increased by 100 basis points. Always they'll उसमें भी short form use करेंगे. We are increasing it by 100 BPS. So no one understands. Okay, what is 100 BPS? 100 BPS is 100 basis points, and that is nothing but 1%. But they will say 100 BPS, so that everyone feels that something has happened. But what? No one knows. अभी जनरल लोगों को बहुत लेना देना होता है रेपो रेट रिवर्स रेपो रेट से. You will now understand how it impacts people like you and me. Okay. Yes, it will have a big impact on our loans. How? I'll tell you immediately. Okay, so this 100 basis points is clear. Now let us understand. If the repo rate increases by from 5% to 6%, whose cost increased? The bank's cost increased. Okay, so the rate at which RBI, so in simple words, we say that the cost of borrowing. What is this known as? Cost of borrowing. This is a cost to whom? To the bank. In simple words, today if SBI wants to take money as a lending from RBI, to get 100 rupees lending from RBI, they have to bear a cost of now 6% instead of 5%. Okay, Delia. Now SBI was also giving loans to people like you and me. SBI was giving a home loan. Okay. And let us assume that the home loan originally was at 7%. Now what will happen to home loan? 100%, they have to increase it. Otherwise, their interest margins are going to go down, no? Correct? Can I say in this case that profitability will squeeze if they don't pass on the burden to us? Yes. So if the repo rate increases, it is a direct impact on people like you and me, those who have taken loans. And if you know this, loans are generally, home loan typically is given on a floating rate of interest. Floating rate of interest means what? The moment some policy changes, our interest is going to float accordingly. Okay, so repo rate increases from 5 to 6. What happens? Home loan will increase from 7% to 8%. So what? Now understand. It's not only home loan. Can I say now businessmen will also get a loan at a higher rate of interest? Businessmen are going to take a term loan. Let us say a businessman wants to take a term loan for buying a machinery. A businessman wants to buy machinery, he wants to take a term loan. Originally, assume that the term loan was at 7.5%. Now the new rate is going to be 8.5%. Businessman wants a working capital loan. Working capital loan means what, you know? Working capital means for day-to-day business, day-to-day running, to buy raw material, to pay for labor. Working capital. The word itself says now working. For day-to-day working activities, whatever capital you need is known as a working capital. For this working capital, we'll write this term, by the way, it's an important term, working capital. Just remind me. So working capital originally was how much? Let us say 6.5%. Now working capital loan you'll get at 7.5%. Now please understand what is the impact. Now can I say the cost for the businessman has increased? Now he'll make an analysis. Wait. Instead of increasing the production capacity right now, I'll wait. I don't have that much money to shell right now. I'll continue with the same level of production right now. Has he postponed his increase in capacity? Yes. The moment he has postponed his increase in capacity, his production is going to remain stagnated, which could have gone up. If his production has remained stagnated, not only his production, many peers' production, many other industries' production, and then what is going to fall? GDP is going to fall. Correct, na? Jepte ka? One last time quickly. Now I'm going to at a fast pace. Huh? Try to follow the link. Repo rate increases. What do we mean by repo rate? RBI is giving a loan to a bank. That rate increased. Whose cost of borrowing funds increased? Bank's cost of borrowing increased. If bank's cost of borrowing increased, they are going to pass this burden to people like you and me. So जो home loan मुझे 7.5% से मिलता था, instead of 7.5%, now I'm going to get the loan at 8.5%. So my capacity of borrowing is now hampered again. But it's okay for individuals, even if I don't get a home loan. Acha, but again, how this can also have an impact? Huh? If I was thinking of buying a home loan, of buying a house and through a home loan, now because of 7.5 to 8.5, I might postpone my decision to buy a house. My decision of postponing to buy a house will have an impact on construction companies. Many people might postpone their decision. Will have an impact on sale of construction companies. Number two, why only people like me? Those who are businessmen, they are also going to get impacted. Correct? Businessmen will delay their new loans for buying machinery. Businessmen might delay their loans for working capital, for increased level of production. So what is it going to impact directly? It's going to impact their production on a lower level, and put together the country's GDP might also get impacted. तो करते ही क्यों ऐसे? So there are various reasons for that, and again that somehow has a link or connection with overall inflation also. Sometimes they want to make money dearer. Money dearer concept. So I'll now tell you the reverse position. Let's see if you can get it. What will happen? Assume right now repo is assume 6%, and they say what nonsense, we want to increase GDP, na? We want to increase production capacities, so slash it to 3%. Come on, they slash it to 3%. Now getting a loan becomes very easy. Any person can get a loan, and then when you start getting excess money right away, people's spending capacity will increase. 100% attention, I'm directly going fast. Spending capacity will increase. If spending capacity increases, your demand is going to increase for various products. I was not able to buy this iPhone 7, but I'm getting a loan at only 3% to buy an iPhone, 4% to buy an iPhone. I'll buy an iPhone. I was not planning to buy a smart TV. I'm getting a loan at 4%. I'll buy a smart TV. Now demand is suddenly shooting up. Supply can't shoot up immediately, so you need that much production capacity first. Then you will first buy the machines, you will hire new laborers, that takes little bit time. So initially your supply is going to be comparatively less. This is basic microeconomics. More demand, less supply, prices are going to increase. If prices increase, it will lead to inflation. So inflation will increase. So to control inflation, many times repo rate is increased. If you increase the repo rate, your loans rate will also increase, and that is why we say our money becomes dearer to us. That is a money dear concept. It's actually this, money becomes dearer to me, because now I know that I have less money, I have less capacity to borrow. Let me use this wisely. And that is how the demand somewhere drops. Supply is almost the same. Demand drops, so your prices will drop, your inflation will drop, but your GDP also will also drop, na? Because overall demand is only going down. So the production people will produce less maybe. And if people see, this is economics. So we feel that, अरे क्या कर रही है सरकार? Can't they just solve this problem of inflation? It's not that easy. You see, I can explain this in the class also in 2 minutes. It's an exact reverse position of GDP and inflation. If you want to increase GDP, you can, but then inflation is also going to increase. So can I say, having that golden mean, Suvarna Madhya, the golden mean, achieving that, it's very difficult. You try to increase something else is going to also get impacted. So what happens is that, so this is basic economics, what I'm telling you right now. Now there could be many ifs and buts for this. Then I'll have to start an economics class, that why different countries would go into what scenarios. Okay. So how can we, and so what is important right now is how it will impact stock markets. Okay. No, we are not on bond markets right now, because bond markets and stock markets impact is again very different. Let's not go into that right now. Bond markets, it's a complete separate discussion. Okay. Sticking to the main point, what we are saying is that if our repo rate increases, if the repo rate increases, now everyone tell me quickly, repo rate increases, what will happen? Loans will become costly. If loans become costly, businessmen who want to take a term loan or a working capital loan, what will happen? That will go down. So therefore production might also go down, and it will have a negative impact on overall GDP, and that is why positive or negative impact on market, again a negative impact on market. So in have you written the headings repo, reverse repo, and in repo rate, reverse repo is not okay. I mean, we'll go much deep down. If you have understood repo, that should be good enough. So we can just give the title. You have written what is the meaning of repo rate, na? So now let us give the title as impact of increase in impact of repo rate on markets. First give the title, na? Then you will write this. Impact of repo rates on stock markets. Yes, if you have written the heading, just go on writing this down. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, you can do dashes, whatever. This is the sequence. Yes, for this working capital loan, you can just put a star mark and then I'll explain what is this working capital loan in one line. Done? Yes, good. So these are the various factors, and there could be many more factors, by the way, for macroeconomics also. But I feel that these 2-3 parameters, which 2-3 parameters? One could be your GDP, one could be your CRR/SLR, one could be your repo rate, and fourth can be your inflation again. But I have already told you the connection of GDP with inflation, so you can analyze accordingly, right? There are 1 or 2 more points which I have already put on YouTube, and that same lecture I have taken in the introductory lecture in my online series also, wherein I've explained the impact of monsoons on the stock market. Okay, it's there in the recording, so online people have already watched it, but for those who are watching live, if you have not seen my lecture on YouTube, do watch it. That is fundamental analysis part 3. Okay, in that I've explained the impact of monsoons and 1 or 2 parameters also on the stock market. Okay, so just to explain you in one single line is, India still is an agrarian country. So negative impact on monsoon, low monsoons, low, everything low, and it's going to have a negative impact on the market. Okay, so just as one last line, other parameters. So you can just write down other parameters for macroeconomics. Other parameters. Dash. Parameters like monsoons, comma, BOP. BOP is balance of payments. I have also explained the same concept on YouTube, lecture number 3, fundamental analysis. Balance of payment. And balance of payment also impact the stock markets. Also impact stock markets. Okay, like I told you, monsoons in one single line. I'll tell you balance of payment means what, that also I've explained anyways, but just as a quick recap again. See, balance of payment is nothing but exports versus imports. Exports versus imports. If my exports are greater than my imports, then I call it as a surplus BOP. Exports are greater than imports. I have a surplus BOP of 20. No. Surplus BOP. See, balance of payment. What is the meaning of this balance of payment? For exports, do I have to pay or do I have to receive money? I have to receive money. How much money I have to receive? 100. Let's say. For imports, do I have to pay money or receive money? Pay money. No? For import, I pay money. How much I have to pay? 80. So what is the balance of payments? This I have to receive, this I have to pay. So what is the balance of my payments? It's 20 positive, na? So more and more balance of payment increases. This is mainly my foreign currency which is increasing. Foreign currency reserves are increasing because we are not talking about domestic sales. We are talking about exports to another country or imports from another country. So this is what we are talking about, foreign currency. Okay, so let us understand the impact. If my balance of payments is negative, I'm exporting goods worth rupees 80 and I'm importing goods worth rupees 100. What does it impact? I'll have a little bit negative foreign currency with me. Foreign currency reserves will deplete. Okay, and if any country has strong foreign currency reserves, it's a very good sign. Foreign currency reserve jitne zyada hai, it will have a strengthened economy. And again, finally, strengthened economy will have a positive impact. Strengthened foreign currency reserves will have a positive impact on the stock markets. Is this understood? You want to write down what is balance of payment in a single line? Yes. It is the difference of, no need to write for monsoons. Huh? It is the difference for balance of payment, write down. It is the difference of exports versus imports. It is a difference of exports versus imports. So we can just write down in our standard format, surplus BOP into bracket, exports are greater than imports. Quickly tell me what will this lead to? This will lead to rise in forex or foreign currency reserves. Good or bad for the economy? Good for the economy. And obviously good for the markets. I'm sure if some pure economist who will watch my lecture is going to curse me, because he'll say that he or she will say, what version of BOP is this? But this is the most simplified version. The final meaning remains the same. The small intricate details I've completely taken out right now, because anyways that's not going to impact our market analysis. Is this okay? Yes. जापानीज इंडिया करेंसी एक्सचेंज करते हैं क्या? I have not read about this. Why Japan and India exchange currency in bulk? No, but anyways, even if you tell me the interpretation, I have not read about it, so I don't think I should comment on that. We'll check. Huh? Huh? But still, it's not Japanese currency that we are trying to buy petroleum with. What I had read somewhere, huh? For metro projects, that's a soft loan that we have gotten already. It's a complete different discussion. I don't know. This might be a little bit. Correct. Okay. For Pakistan. Hmm. Hmm. Correct. Oh. But I till recent days, like, because my mother-in-law and father-in-law had been to Russia for a family trip, and they said that they were not allowed to use the airspace of Pakistan. The route had changed because Pakistan government had banned Indian flights to use the Pakistan airspace. Now recently they have opened it. What? Hmm. Foreign currency buying and selling, uh, just like trading, just like swapping, would not impact a BOP. BOP, for BOP there has to be some exports and imports. Na? If you're just exchanging foreign currency, even in bulk, for I don't know what purpose they are exchanging in your example, but let's say they are bulk buying and bulk selling Japanese yen versus Indian currency. I don't think that's going to have an impact on BOP. Surplus will remain same. Na? You're just flipping the currency. नहीं, but finally forex reserve बढ़ेगा, agreed. So you may say that sometimes even India does this. If rupee, again this discussion is going a little bit tangent, but still I'll tell you, it might impact stock market in one way. How? I'll bring your discussion, instead of Japanese yen to Indian rupees, I'll give you an example of USD versus INR. It's okay, just the currency is changing. How this impacts stock market? So how, I can say the exchange rate is a better word. How exchange rate impacts stock markets. Now what happens is that if INR, so Indian rupee, if it is continuously falling down, okay, so let us say $1 originally few months ago was, let us say, up to 72 rupees, okay, few months ago, whatever. And just let me take this example, that let us say $1 is equal to 73 rupees ho gaya in few months. Positive sign for India or a negative sign for India? Negative, because rupee has gone down. And then if you remember few months ago, it had crashed like anything. It was somewhere around at 64 or 65. And then it went down and down and down to, it touched 70 rupees. And at some point of time, government intervenes. Okay. This is a standard policy of India, that generally the government does not intervene, does not interfere in the rupee to dollar or rupee to any other currency. We call this as a floating exchange rate. Again, I'm going to economics, but this is known as a floating exchange rate. Let the exchange rate float as per the demand and supply. Government does not intervene in that. But government has set up limits. So you can imagine like this is a tunnel and there is a snake in this tunnel. जितना ऊपर जाना है उधर जाओ, नीचे जाना है उधर ऊपर जाना है जाओ. Government is not going to bother in this scenario. But if it goes beyond this, this may be the level of 70. If it goes beyond this, then government intervenes. Okay, how government intervenes? It's something like this. In this case, what is happening is, if government can somehow drop the demand of US dollar, government can drop the demand of US dollar. How can they drop the demand of US dollar? Supply a lot of US dollar. Supply is more, demand is more or less the same, then dollar price will go down. Now your question will be, how Indian government can supply US dollar? Can we print? We can't print US dollars. But what we can do is, our foreign currency reserves which we have through that BOP, foreign currency reserves, we have dollars, we will sell dollars from this foreign currency reserves. And that is done by the government. We'll start selling US dollars in the open market. Who sells? Governments actually start selling. Government of India will start selling US dollars in the market. If lots and lots of dollars are sold in the market, quickly tell me, supply of dollars has increased. Demand is more or less same. Demand is more or less same. In that case, US dollar price will down. US dollar ka price is, so dollar ka price is going down, so automatically rupee is strengthening. Maybe you're referring to something like this, bulk selling and buying. No, still you have something different. Maybe then. Hmm. 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 No, okay. You are just saying that just forex ऊपर जाने के लिए, just for my forex reserves to go up, if I start selling, so please understand, if I want to buy yen, let us say, and increase my forex reserves. Just as an example, I'll have to sell rupees, na? I have to give rupees. Instead of using the word giving rupees, actually India sells rupees and buys yen. A bulk buying and selling, maybe, is that what you are referring to now? Listen, I got your point now. I got your point. Listen. So you are selling rupees and you are buying yen, Japanese yen, so that my foreign currency reserves increases. Foreign currency reserves increase. Again, understand the impact. This can be done, I'm not denying that, but please understand the impact of this on economics also. If you are starting selling rupees, the supply of rupee in the market, like this, na, supply of rupees in the market increased. If supply of rupees in the market is increased, demand again is more or less same, and then the rupee value will go down. This is not good sign for our country again. You're getting the logic? Yes. So any country will, otherwise it's so easy to increase the foreign reserves. Is RBI allowed to print money? Is RBI allowed to print our own currency? Yes, na. RBI means RBI will give the instructions, na. That will be printed in the minting machines. That's okay. But RBI will give the permission. Are apna ye chapo. Print how much ever currency you want. Print. Now we have a lot of Indian rupees. Sell and buy dollars and buy yen. Foreign currency reserves increase. Why do we need any economist? It's not that simple. The moment you're printing more currency, it means that you are increasing the supply of your own currency. Increasing the supply of your own currency, the value of your own currency is going to go down. Again, one more impact. If you can understand quickly, more and more money, rupees are there in the market. Money is not dearer to me now. I'm easily getting money. I'll start spending money the way I want. Inflation will increase. That is what had happened in Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, same thing had happened. Their government had started printing. You are poor, we'll print money. Take. Now you are not poor. Very good. See, government is solving everyone's problem. It's not that easy. Now his buying power increases. He is going to spend like anything. And if you know this, I don't remember the exact figure, but somewhere I read this, that in Zimbabwe, a day had come when almost they had translated into Indian currency. They had a 1 lakh rupees note to buy a bread. This is what had happened in that country. So this is you just, it's not that easy. Isn't economics really interesting? It's absolutely interesting. The problem is again the way it is taught in school. At school level, the most hated subject for me was economics. I feel this might be everyone's story. Why only me? Because the way in which we are taught is like, kya chal raha hai? What GDP? What inflation? What are we going to do with that? Because even our level of understanding in school is not that much matured. Exactly what are we taught? Definition of GDP. Learn it. And you know what happens in Three Idiots, like the way he just learns it and just vomits it out. So now I feel even if you have not liked economics at that time, do try reading about economics now. It's really interesting, and that's how you learn about impact of macroeconomics on stock markets. Okay, one small point which was pending was that working capital ka thing, na? You have put a star mark for working capital, and somewhere write down the one-liner meaning for working capital. Capital required, working capital dash, capital required for day-to-day business operations. Capital required for day-to-day business operations like what? Buying raw material, making labor payments, etc. For day-to-day, what did I say? For day-to-day? For day-to-day operations like buying raw materials, comma making labor payments, etc., is known as working capital. Demonetization definitely impacted many businesses. Small business तो बहुत हो गया अभी. When everyone might have watched so many things about demonetization, but one small point as an example, see now, and all the media who wanted to show the negative side of demonetization ढूंढ ढूंढ के निकल रहे थे examples. So they had gone to a very remote place, and there was a person who was selling bangles. Okay, now he said that I go to many marriages where we have a ceremony in our Hindu culture that just before the marriage, bangdya bharne is what we call, wherein all the ladies will gather together and everyone will have nice bangles. The person in whose house there's a marriage ceremony sponsors these bangles. Do you think that the bangle guy is going to receive check payments? Never. And he's definitely going to receive cash payments. He said, my business is doomed because of demonetization. So all these small businesses got definitely impacted. But then I'll tell you the brighter side also. I'd been to one of the villages during the similar time, and the lady said that we had a lot of problems and everyone was saying that we don't have cash. Then we said we want our money. And what the businessman did was that, so she said, I am a daily worker, get daily wages. But the businessman did not have money to pay us. She said, we want our money. So what that businessman did was that he opened almost 100 plus bank accounts for all these laborers. Now, can I say this is definitely a positive side? Indian mentality, I'll tell you, जब तक छड़ी लेके नहीं बैठेंगे ना, कंपल्सरी ओपन करना है मतलब करना है. Till then, no one will do that. So many electronic payments. You only check how much electronic payments you used to do versus how many payments you are doing right now, and everything comes in the main economy stream. Na? Somewhere the taxes will increase, somewhere and see, we always say that GDP, GDP will not show up in GDP if you are taking in cash. If you are selling, if you are manufacturing, raw material का payment कैसे किया? Cash में. Labor payment, cash. I sold in cash. So is there a production? Yes. Is there a sale? Yes. But nowhere it is being recorded. How will it show up in our macroeconomic numbers? Correct. When will it show up in the macroeconomic numbers? If we really account for it, na? And accounting tab bhi hoga if there are proper channeled payments through bank or electronic systems. GDP के लिए तो accounting चाहिए ना? Obviously, see, if I'm selling everything in cash, assume whatever. Now I'll tell you a very simple thing also. I took this batch. Even if I took cash payments, anyone who did not get a receipt, I'm asking in front of the camera, anyone who did not get a receipt, no one, everyone will get a receipt. Many parents also come here that it's okay if you don't give a receipt. Oh, GST, we don't want to pay GST. It's okay if we don't get a receipt. But then we are the ones who are then trying to be a small part of the entire corruption system. We are contributing to that. You only tell me, because of that 18% GDP, did you become poor by a very big margin? No. But you can proudly say that, yes, I'm paying taxes. That is what I feel. It's a very small thing. So for me also, please understand the impact now. If I'm taking some fees from you, let us say for any course of CA, if I'm taking 3,000 rupees, okay, and if I take this fees in cash, I will not disclose this. If I'm taking cash, if I've not taken out a receipt for you, I will not disclose this. If I don't disclose this, directly iska 30%, 900 rupees, I've saved my tax. I have taken, even if I've taken cash from you for this course, I've given you receipt. So this is a recorded income for me. If it's a recorded income for me, I have to pay income tax on that, na? It would have been good for me if I would have accepted cash. मेरा भी तो इनकम टैक्स बच जाता था ना. बट थिंक फ्रॉम अ लिटिल बिट बिगर पर्सपेक्टिव. We just keep on cursing our country. अपने यहाँ पे ऐसे होता है वैसे होता है. But then I feel that we are also taking a very minutest part. But then we are taking that minutest part if you are not paying GST and all that. So it's a small thing, but maybe we should rethink on these lines as well, right? So macroeconomics say the last point that we want to switch on into is just you should know these parameters about management analysis. It's an important one, but you should know these parameters. So just give the heading as management analysis. Completely new heading. Huh? We are out of company, industry, and economy analysis now. A complete separate discussion for fundamental analysis. What separate discussion? If you remember, day one, fundamental analysis was divided into two parts: qualitative and quantitative. So quant full we have done now, and we are only on this part right now, qualitative analysis, which is completely logic. There's no terminology, not even one terminology. I'm just going to tell you various parameters. So qualitative analysis could be the main heading under which we are learning management analysis. So if you have directly written management analysis dash, you can write down it's a qualitative analysis. Right. Can I go on? Yes. Sorry. Reverse repo rate impact on stock market exactly ulta ulta hone chalu ho jayega. But that's okay. I mean, again, you'll have to understand that concept. So maybe in the heading itself, you can write down repo rate. What will be, no, not right now. Heading, original heading I had given repo and reverse repo. See, like repo was where bank gives to, sorry, RBI gives to bank. When banks are allowed to deposit with RBI, that's a reverse repo. Exactly ulta direction. Na? RBI gives to bank is a repo. When banks invest with RBI, it's a reverse repo. Okay, but again, understanding the impact and all that will take a lot of time, and it's okay. If you have understood repo, that should be more than enough. So management analysis. So let us understand what is this management analysis. Just 2-3 minutes, pay attention. Fundamentals could be amazing of a specific company. Economy might be supporting that. Industry might be in the perfect life cycle. All factors are positive. You're about to buy that stock, but the management is a fraud. Still, it's a big no on buying that stock. Don't buy such a stock, because then the analysis could be that these balance sheet numbers could be cooked up. P&L numbers could be cooked up. Makes no sense in buying such a company. But the biggest problem is that, so many fundamental analyst teachers will say that you have to do a management analysis. But question is, how do I do a management analysis? Do I really go and meet them? Is it possible? No. We don't even know them. It's not possible. But how do we know them? Through annual reports and through any other documents. So if we were to check management, or if we were to do management analysis, see, the basic parameter is checking their honesty. So two things, one is honesty and one thing is their capacity. Management might be very honest, but they don't have the capacity to run the business. Still makes no sense. Capacity can go again in quantitative analysis. If your inventory turnover ratio is continuously rising, can I say capacity or capability is the correct word actually, not capacity, capability. So two things, one is honesty should be good, and next is your capability. Capability can be understood with quantitative analysis also. Inventory turnover ratio is continuously going up. Reserves are rising fantastically. Profits are growing year on year. Is this their honesty or is this their capability that is showing up? Capability which is showing up. What we are not sure is about the honesty of the business. So how do we check honesty of any management itself is a very big task. So I have taken out some 8-9 parameters which we can use to check the honesty of the management. Again, unless and until management changes, this is a one-time study. Do you need to check every month? Abhi honest hai kya? The honesty is not going to change month on month. Na? So this is just a one-time analysis unless and until the top level management completely changes. Okay, so let us write down various parameters. to analyze various parameters to analyze the honesty of a businessman. Various parameters to analyze the honesty of a businessman are: number one, we'll just jot down as number 1, 2, 3. I know this might sound foolish, but this is how I do it as a first step. You just type the name of that promoter. Okay. So how do we know who is the promoter? Annual report also, and even in the shareholding pattern. I'll just quickly show you. गया केस का ऑफिस. So let us say Reliance. क्या हुआ? Okay, forget it. Maybe the speed is going down right now. It's okay. What I do is, it could also be a simple Google. Why go to money control? You can just put on Google major shareholders of whatever company. You can Google it out. And what I actually do is, I just type the name of that company and I add the search word as frauds, cases against them. That is the simplest way to understand whether any fraud is taking place with that company or not. So just so what could be your first point? How to find out the honesty? You actually write it down. Google the name of the company. Google, so search on Google obviously. So Google out the name of the company. And add the search word as fraud or cases. Add the search word as fraud or cases. So the first one, what I said was, just Google out the name of the company, and what will you add as a search word? Fraud or cases against them, litigation. Okay, and you will get to know whether any cases are being run against the management or not. The more number of cases against the management, stay away. Simple. That's what I'm repeating. All this is common sense. Second point, write down. LinkedIn profile. Okay, in LinkedIn profile also you can see what is the educational qualification and all that. How many years of experience that person has. Okay, a very experienced person having good qualification. Again, I may say that, see, I can't judge the honesty with that, but there's one point which I can link with it, is the remuneration that they are claiming in the organization. So what I'm giving you as an example right now, let us understand. Educational qualification is not that high. Experience is also not very good. 2 parameters. And the remuneration that they are taking from the company, managerial remuneration, director's remuneration, that is very high. What does this mean? What does this mean? Again, can I say honesty could be questioned here? You don't have the worst case scenario I'm telling you now. Educational qualification is not that good. Experience, number of years of work experience is not that good. Company's net profit this time is not that good. But the remuneration that this director is drawing from the company is on a upside. Okay, what company is doing, I'm least bothered. मुझे मेरा पैसा चाहिए. That again shows the attitude of the top people, management. So this is the worst scenario which you could have. And how can you get qualification experience? You can get that on LinkedIn also. Okay, so this could be an example. Low qualification, low experience also. Sometimes qualification could be low, but experience is terrific. Still matches. Qualification is low, experience is low. Company's net profit is also down, but remuneration is on the upside. Last year's comparison, they are taking additional 10% remuneration. That again shows the ethics of the management. Okay, so you can write this as an example from LinkedIn dash. Example can be same thing, qualification, experience, downward arrow. Net profit, downward arrow. Net profit also downward arrow. And remuneration, upward arrow. Right? Remuneration पता चलता है क्या? Anyone knows? Yes, so that's what that is why I was planning to open this. In annual report, it's fun to watch. कौन कितना कमाता है? We always can compare what we are doing versus what others are doing. Gives us motivation. I'll tell you, managerial remuneration or management remuneration, you will get to see that in a title known as management discussion and analysis. अरे यार इसके just पहले था शायद. No, wait. Okay, I'll show you 1 minute. There's an annual report of L&T, and in which I'm just going down. Okay, here, listen. In the contents, this is a very important content, by the way. Management discussion and analysis. Super important content. Okay, you can write down this as a third one now. Management discussion and analysis. Page number is 168 to 299. This is also just for you to understand that what the company plans in the near future. So this point might not directly have an impact on ethics, but this might help you to understand what are the plans for near future. Okay, so if you see your management discussion analysis, first they are talking about what is the scenario of Indian economy. Then they are talking about what is the scenario of global economy. Then we are going down digitalization initiatives, digital journey, whatever. So what are their initiatives that they are taking, what their major achievements are. See, the year's order books includes breakthrough orders for airports and hospitals from prestigious clients. Now we know this term, correct? Yes, so they are saying that we are having amazing achievements and amazing clients also. See, this is like Delhi Metro Phase 3 snakes its way through Delhi Haryana border. ITC Green Bengaluru, this is what they are doing as the current projects right now. Transportation, many projects. So you'll get to, so if you were to understand what L&T is doing, all these points you will find in management discussion and analysis. So inside that, two major things you're finding. So dash karke likho, this is not about honesty of the management, but this point tells us about what? Existing projects and upcoming projects. So dash karke likho, we can get to know about existing projects and upcoming projects. Yes, just found it till then. Well, inside this only, in management discussion and analysis only, you can see this as an annexure. What I did is just search Control F, managerial remuneration. And you can see here, name of MD, managing director. WTD is a whole-time director or a manager. How much are they earning? Of course, rupees in crores. Basic salary is 2 crores. Whatever, rounding off. Perquisites 21 crores. Then commission as a percentage of profit 18 crores. Others 5 crores. 48 crores is the annual salary. of only one person, Mr. S.N. Subramaniam. Okay, so chairman का यहाँ पे नहीं है, is Mr. Naik. Okay, and then CEO कौन है, CFO कौन है, इनका managerial remuneration. See here also you can get to see one important point. Any penalties, punishments, compounding of offenses. Can I say this will again get linked with honesty ethics. So inside that management discussion analysis only, we can get to know about any. So we can write that as one more point. Na? Inside this point only, management discussion and analysis, we can get to know about any penalties or punishments on the management. Punishment and penalties. Okay. One more point you can write down is investor conference call. Next point. Next point. So I hope this is simple, na? Management discussion analysis. Yes. Next point, write down investor conference call. Investor conference call. In that investor conference call, you can write down dash transcript analysis. I'll spell it out for you if you want. Investor conference call dash transcript analysis. I'll tell you, transcript analysis of your quarterly earnings conference calls. I'll tell you what is this transcript analysis of quarterly earnings conference calls. Quarterly earnings conference calls. Okay, now what is this? I'll tell you. Many a times, whenever quarterly earnings are disclosed by the management, have you ever seen this on TV? The management, some person from the finance department or maybe the MD, CEO, someone actually speaks in front of the media and they tell that quarterly earnings of this year is of this quarter is this much as compared to the previous quarter. Our sales numbers have increased by this, our EBITDA is increased by this, our PBT has increased by this. They'll go on telling numbers. Then the media guys ask them certain questions, they answer to these calls. Okay, now again this tells there are some adverse questions which are asked by the media sometimes. Then how they are reacting to that? What is their quarterly earnings? What, even in this quarterly earning call also, many of them ask, how do you expect the next quarter to turn up for your company? So again, same thing, one about the current and one about the upcoming. Now the only question is, where will I get to see this quarterly earning calls? I just happened to bump into this YouTube channel. It does not have stock earning calls of all the companies though. I have no connection with this YouTube channel. Let me be very clear, disclaimer. Okay, but the name of that channel is Stock Adda. Just Google this out or YouTube Stock Adda, and I found many conference calls on this. Matlab actual audios he has put. Okay, or second could be you can just Google it out. Quarterly result transcript analysis. I'll tell you what is this transcript analysis. It means that whatever the person says, transcript means what, it will be completely typed out. Matlab it is actually typed out something like this. Dear shareholders, यहाँ से चालू होता है वो transcript. Dear shareholders, we are very happy to announce our quarterly results. Full it will given word by word. But you know, reading this word by word as a transcript analysis, instead of this, I find this is a better option as a conference call, listening to that, because this is the time when you get to see the management, how they are speaking, what is the confidence level, what are their upcoming projects we can also Google out. Okay, but the way in which even confidence sometimes tells us about really do they feel that all these things are going to come up or not. Okay, so these could be the various ways like Stock Adda also. So I hope you have got this about the quarterly earnings and all that. And the last one, like we had discussed the other day, insider trading charges. Last one, insider trading charges against the management. insider trading charges against the management. And I told you what is insider information. Simple Hindi, andar ki baat. You know what is going inside the company, which is not known to the shareholders. And you do some trading, you invest in money, invest in shares using this information. If management itself is doing some insider, that again shows the ethics and dishonesty. Okay, and how do we find it out? Again, Google. Type out the name of the MD and insider charges, insider trading charges. Charges means against that person if there is anything going on. Okay, so can I say management analysis is no rocket science, but it is just very subjective, very simple. Just Google it out. You're reading. So it's not a one day. So I can't say 8-pointer analysis. Not like that. Just go on reading about the management. All these could be some basic points like LinkedIn, Googling it out. All these will help you to understand the honesty of the management. Is this okay? Yes. So that brings us to a logical end about the entire fundamental analysis series of what is quantitative, what is qualitative. I'm going to give you one bonus video wherein I guess there was a request also that like from start to end, if I can give, these are the 8 pointers and actuals by downloading some annual report. It will be great if that can be done, right? So, but I'll do that as a studio recording. Okay. So what can be done is I'll take up one share, and which we have discussed a lot in the class, which was Himadri Specialty Chemicals. I'll do a video on that. Just give me some time for it though. We'll discuss in the same pattern which I have discussed in the class. Okay. Like first, I feel that the stepwise analysis should be our 8-pointer filter first. If it fits into the 8-pointer filter, then I'll go for the industry analysis. Then I'll go for the economy analysis. And last one will be my management analysis. If everything fits into place, ideally it's a buy. That is based on fundamental analysis. Okay. But then if you were to ask me the timing for that, company is good, we should buy. But question is, when? Aaj buy karu, kal buy karu, thoda ruk ke buy karu. For that you need technical analysis. Okay, which we have not covered. It's again a separate, complete separate series. For that you need to understand again loads of terminologies. Okay, 11 lectures mein hona, it's impossible actually. But what I feel is, if you feel nahi madam ab aur nahi sikha ja sakta humse, ye bahut ho gaya, we are overburdened with information, then I'll tell you in simple what I used to do when even I had not learned technical analysis. Simple things. If you have a target of buying 50 shares of a company, you have a target of buying 50 shares of the company, then buy 10 5 times. Thoda karke. This month buy only 10. Next month it goes down, buy another 10. Next month it goes down a little bit, buy another 10. If it is rising, happily buy at a rise also. Sometimes happily buying at a rise also makes sense. See, you feel that, arre yaar, I had bought at this level, right now it is at this level. It means that your analysis is correct. But you have bought only 10 quantity. Your target was 50 quantity. Still buy another 10. Should be okay. But stagger it out. Don't buy 50 at one. So even if you don't have knowledge of technical analysis, but if you feel fundamentally this company is very good for next 3 to 5 years, your target should be reached. Just don't bother about what is the support level and what is the resistance level. That's just a temporary phase. Stagger out your investments. Okay. So this is the way fundamental analysis is done. And as I again told you, some basic points that don't put all your money in one stock. Even if you feel that this company will do amazing in the near future, this is the stock. Buying that single stock is still a foolish idea. You never know. See, management's decision going wrong is not in your hands. Management changing is not in your hands. So even if you feel that this company is going to do fantastically, don't put all your earnings in that. Okay. In fact, don't put all your earnings in stock market also. Even I don't have my 100% savings in stock market. So very thoughtfully manage your portfolio. Some should be in stocks, some should be in mutual funds, some must be there in fixed deposits, some can be in debentures, some can be in gold. Ease it out, divide it out. You can decide your own proportion. That is actually portfolio management. But don't put all in one place. Even if you are deciding on stock, my personal suggestion is at least have 10 stocks in your portfolio. There is no formula for this. This is my thought process. That don't put only in one stock because I feel this is going to do good. I feel diversify it a little bit. 10 stocks, you can choose 10 stocks. I have given you 5 sectors which ideally should do good in the near future. From each of the 5 sectors, you may go in for 2 stocks. That will diversify your portfolio. And then what happens is that just 1% if the stock goes down, you have money to again average it out. Okay, so 2 thumb rules based on fundamental analysis. Now I hope everyone now has got that confidence that yes, I can analyze. I will need practice, but I can analyze now. Have you got that confidence? Yes. It's more and more you practice, the confidence level will just go on rising. Okay, so do that analysis, and even if you do that analysis, don't buy only a single stock. Buy at least have a 10 stock portfolio, and don't buy the entire quantity at one time. Stagger it out. Okay, with this my teaching thing, I'll stop. If someone wants to come and speak, we'll keep that as a session separate. But from my side, I hope whatever knowledge I had to deliver, I hope I have delivered in the best possible manner. So thanks a lot for patiently coming. These online viewers are going to see at whatever time they want to see it, but coming here at 7 in the morning and patiently waiting back does require good amount of determination, and we are having monsoons right now, so इतनी भरी बारिश में भी आप आए, feels good, right? So मजा आ रहा था. Good. Good. So thanks a lot from my side once again. Excel sheet, I told you that will be uploaded on the Google Drive, and I'll give you the link of Google Drive. For those who are going to watch it online, the drive on which you have the lectures, on the same drive link, you will have that Excel sheet. For that 8-pointer you're talking about, no? It's there on the Excel sheet, on the Google Drive link. Sorry, the future price wala, EV to EBITDA model, it's in the same Excel sheet only. Okay, so both you'll find on the same cloud link. Okay, so that's it from my side.